I recently received another comment or question on my YouTube channel. What's the distinction between gratitude and love? Well, most people probably believe that love is when somebody supports your values and is nice and kind and positive and sweet, and you are infatuated with them, and you got a dopamine and a serotonin and an oxytocin and an enkephalon surge in the brain, and you're feeling a high, and you're feeling, oh my God, I love this person. And you actually are in this infatuation phase and fear the loss of them. You might even be jealous or envious. In the process of doing that, what you think is love is actually just a dopamine rush and an oxytocin rush, and it's just an assumption that your amygdala is assuming that there's some impulse to seek that's a survival mechanism of pleasure without pain. You want to consume them and almost eat them like prey in the survival mode. This infatuation is not love. And when somebody supports your values, you can be grateful in the sense, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. You're grateful because now they're supporting your fantasy, the fantasy you're going to get a one-sided world. See, Claude Shannon, in his work on information theory, basically showed that if you are conscious of the upsides and unconscious of the downsides while you're infatuated, you have a disorder. Disorder is missing information. You're unconscious and ignoring and blind to certain information that eventually sideswipes you. If you're resentful to somebody and you're conscious of the downsides, unconscious of the upsides, again, you're blind. So those polarized emotions are signs of ignorance and blindness and unconsciousness, and therefore disorder and missing information. But the moment you see both sides simultaneously, which occurs when you've been with a relationship for a long period of time, you can immediately say, here's their positives, here's their negatives. And I embrace them, and I embrace both of them, and I love this individual, and this is who I'm appreciating. That appreciation and that love is a sustainable form of love. And that is a balanced chemistry. You hear about it in balanced chemistry, being involved in depressions and things. Well, a balanced chemistry is when you can see both sides simultaneously and love and appreciate the individual for their wholeness. Therefore, true love and true gratitude is the synthesis of those polarities, the synchronicity of those polarities, and I define that as love. Love's the synthesis, synchronicity of all complementary opposites that you perceive in an individual. When you see only one side, you have an emotion. When you see both sides, you have love. Love is a synthesis of the emotions, not the emotion. But when you're infatuated with somebody and you confuse that with love, you think love's the emotion. Emotion is something that emotes you, that causes you to impulse to seek or an instinct to avoid. But the moment you actually feel love for somebody, you're poised and present, you feel purposeful, you've prioritized your perceptions and see both sides objectively, and you embrace the individual for their wholeness. People want to be loved for who they are, not for the one-sidedness that you expect all the time. So if you have an immature expectation of somebody to be one-sided or live in your values, you're going to end up having futility and depression. And when they do happen to match it, you're going to be superficially grateful and you're going to think you love them because you're now infatuated with them. But when you actually see that they have both sides and they're going to do both, and you have realistic expectations and you don't feel betrayed because they have wholeness, now you have true love and appreciation. And what's the difference between them? They simultaneously occur. They're two aspects of what I call the transcendentals. Gratitude, love, inspiration, enthusiasm, certainty, and presence occur. I teach a program called the Breakthrough Experience. I have them people in the program go through what I call the Demartini method. It's basically a series of questions that balances out the chemistry and the perceptions in the brain. Perceptions in the way you sense, and then the chemistry is in the brain. And the moment they're balanced, you have a true grace, a true gratitude, a true love for them. You're also certain about it. You're very present with the individual. You're inspired by the order that's there, and you're enthusiastic about what you can do with that understanding and who you are with that individual. Those are the ones that are sustainable. Those are the ones that empower you. Those are the ones that make you a master of your destiny, not a victim of your history. Because if you set yourself up for only seeing one side and you expect it all the time, you're going to be upset and let down and feel depressed when it doesn't match your fantasy. So instead of setting fantasies, your executive center in your brain is trying to mitigate the fantasies, mitigate the risks, and set real objectives that have both sides so you can learn to love and appreciate yourself and other people. So that's some of the distinctions you may want to make between a superficial gratitude and love and a true seeing the hidden order and you're grateful and you feel love for life.